We've got today a Lenovo model unknown. Usually model numbers are right there next to the right hand hinge as you're facing the computer, but oh, hold on, there it is, it's on the other side. G780. So customers brought this in complaining of a broken hinge. Yeah, I don't think the hinge is broken. I think what has happened is that the hinge has come unscrewed or broken away from the mounts inside the chassis of the machine. So I'm going to take this apart and see if my supposition is correct. Okay. Just as I suspected, the hinges are fine, but you can see the hinge mounts are completely gone. Well, they're not completely gone. There's still little stubs left to where they were. So we've got that side there. Taking a look at this side here, you can kind of see what the problem is. There's three mounts there, but they're all just cheap plastic, and that's all they are. And they've got these little, whoopsie, get down on there, thank you. They've got these little metal inserts there, and that is what the screws go into. So you've got a couple screws coming down from the top down into those, and then you've got the one screw coming up through the bottom of the chassis. So on each side. So once one of those screws fail, and it inevitably does, it puts extra strain on the others, and the others don't last nearly as long. And so this is one of the main differences between what I call consumer grade laptops and more business grade laptops. You take apart a Lenovo ThinkPad, for example, and you'll find that all of this area in here is made out of metal. There's a plastic cover for the base, but the chassis itself is metal. It's all metal, and the hinges sit down in that metal. So even if the screws come completely out, it's very hard for those to get those hinges out of those places where they're screwed into. So that's one of the big things. You don't see ThinkPad hinges failing this way, but you do see cheaper consumer grade laptops failing this way. So what we have to do is go get some epoxy that's made for plastic, because regular epoxy will not stick to this plastic. And so I've had really good luck getting epoxy that's made for plastic and epoxying these hinges back into the chassis. I've done it on a lot of laptops, and it's always worked well. Haven't had any come back yet. So anyway, I'm going to run over to the hardware store and get some, and we're going to glue these puppies up. We have effected repairs on the hinge area. Did that yesterday. Just wanted to show you how much epoxy it took. I basically filled in that entire back corner with epoxy. I used up almost a whole container of epoxy. Here's the tube of epoxy that I used, and you can see that plunger is pretty far down in there. So yeah, I used a bunch to get that thing set in there. This is definitely a one-time repair. This is not going to be a repeatable thing. So as you can see, that side is in there, and that side is in there as well. So that pretty much essentially using the hinges as a support for the case, because the case has cracks in it. So that hinge, the bottom of that hinge, will help bridge these corners back together and reinforce that plastic. Now here's what I want you to see as sorry about that. Here's what I want you to see as I don't know if you can see that. The hinge is not rotating at all. This is all about the flex that's in that bottom case. That is a lot of flex, and see, that's why this assembly broke, because there's so much flexibility in this plastic, and it gets fatigued, and then the hinges break out of the places where the screws go into. Those little metal ferrules, I think, is the proper term for it. So yeah, I just wanted you to take a look at that. If you buy a ThinkPad, take it apart this far, you don't see any flexing of the bottom case, because the case is not responsible for holding anything. It's got a metal roll cage in there that holds those hinges in place. So another reason to buy a higher quality laptop. Anyway, I'm going to put this back together Make sure everything still works. Don't anticipate any problems with that though. And we'll see how these hinges function after everything's back together. Okay, got it all back together. Just got to wipe it down a little bit. All that crud that was inside there got all over the place. But see if we can do this. It's a lot better. Still got a little bit of movement on the plastic, but that's only because there's no screws holding this part of the upper piece to the lower piece anymore. The nearest screw is way over here, so it's going to creak a little bit, but everything's working well as far as the hinge function goes. Nice, still nice and tight, so we'll call this one finished. If you like our videos, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it.